शुभ संध्या आज आज आभासी बैठक रे जोग देइथिबा समस्त सदस्य मान को मो सुनील विश्वाल आपण समस्त नमस्कार जनाऊँच एवं आज वक्ता श्रीजुक्त निहार रंजन नंद तांको मो स्वागत जनाऊँच ए आभासी बैठक को आमे गाइबा आम कलिंग इतिहास बोले आमे जो संगोष्ठी आमे जो तैयारी करछु एथिरे आमे प्रत्येक सप्ताह रे गोटे नुआ विषय वस्तु एवं जने नुआ वक्ता को नहीं आमे आमर बैठक करुछु एवं से जो बैठक रेकर्डेड वर्सन टा आमे विभिन्न सामाजिक गणमाध्यम रे आमे सेटा अपलोड करछु एवं सेथिरे आपण माने प्रथमतः ए जो आभासी बैठक रे जोग दउचंती एवं ता परे सोशल मीडिया रे आमे जो सब कंटेंट को सब अपलोड करछु सेथिरे मध्ये आपण माने आपण मानकर समर्थन हमकु देइचंती एवं सेटा को देखिकि आमे उत्साहित होछु। आमर उद्देश्य होची जे साधारण साधारण लोक जेमिति ओडिशार बा कलिंगर प्राचीन ऐतिह्य विषय रे सेमाने एक रे जानिबे एवं जने ओडिया हिसाब रे सेमाने गर्व अनुभव करिवे। मु भाबुची जे क्रमशः आमर इतिहास एवं संस्कृति ए विषय रे आमे धीरे धीरे आमर अवेयरनेस ता कमी कमी चलची सचेतनता कमी कमी चलची तो ताकू मेकअप करिया पे बा तार गोटे भरपूर करिया पे हमर एटा गोटे प्रयास एवं एथिरे आपण मानकर योगदान पे आमे एक्चुअली आपण मान पाखरे ऋणी आपण माने आम निमंत्रण रक्षा करी ए जो बैठक रे जोग दोचंती सेते हम आपण को पुणी आउथरे मु धन्यवाद जणाउची। आमे जो बैठक करछु तार फॉर्मेट होची ए होची 2 घंटार अवधि एथिरे प्रथमे वक्तांकर वक्तव्य जहा कि 1 घंटारू किछि ऊर्ध्व पे हेइ पारे सेटा निर्भर करछि वक्तांकर कोन कोन से मेसेज दवा पे चाहउचंती एवं ता परे गोटे इंटरैक्टिव सेशन अच्छी जो थी कि आपण माने आपण मानकर मत बा प्रश्न रखिपारे एवं 2 घंटा अवधि परे आमे एटा को रेकॉर्डेड वर्जन टा को आमे सोशल मीडिया रे आमे अपलोड करिवो। तबे ए मीटिंग टा को श्रृंखलित भाव रे करिया पे आमे माने कोन करछु जे मीटिंग जेतले वक्ता तांकर वक्तव्य रखसंती सेतले आमे समस्त हमर माइक्रोफोन एवं कैमरा को आमे ऑफ रखिबा निहाती जरूरी एवं जेतले आमे इंटरैक्टिव सेशन जेतले आरंभ होबो सेतले आपण जदि किछ प्रश्न पचरे पे चाहउचंती बा मत रखिया में चाहउचंती ताहले आपण आइदर चैट बॉक्स व्यवहार कर परिबे नचेत आपण हैंड रेज बटन टा प्रेस करले आजिर जे को होस्ट से आपण मान को आमंत्रण करिवे क्रम अनुसार एवं सेतबेले आपण माइक्रोफोन अनम्यूट करिवे कैमरा को ऑन करिवे एवं आपनकर जहा वक्तव्य थिबो ता उपस्थापन करिवे। मो एई जो बुझामणा हिसाब रे आमे आजिर मीटिंग को आगु को नबा मु अनुरोध करिवि आज वक्ता श्रीजुक्त निहार रंजन नंद तांको विषय रे श्री सौम्य रंजन पंडा तांकर परिचय प्रदान करिवे एवं तापर आज वक्ता तांकर वक्तव्य उपस्थापन करिवे। सौम्य
धन्यवाद सर समस्त को नमस्कार जय जगन्नाथ। आज मीटिंग टा मु बहुत कैजुअली स्टार्ट करछि कथा बहुत इंपोर्टेंट कारण मो हिसाब रे ओडिया रे किंबा इंग्लिश एमिति बही या पूर्व लिखाई नतला ओडिया इतिहास को नहीं कि जो थरे आई मीन इट्स अ प्रॉपर पैकेज। आई वांट टू शो द बुक आई थिंक बही विजिबल अछि बहीटा मु निजे बोधे कपिलेंद्र देव ऊपर 10-15 घंटा बही पढ़ी थी किंतु कोठी ना एवडा सब लार्जर पर्सपेक्टिव रो हिस्ट्री बुक रो पार्ट एंड पार्सल जो थरे कपिलेंद्र देव विषय किसी लिखा थी पूर्व विषय किसी पर विषय किसी बट जड़े राजा विषय एडे बड़ राजा विषय जा विषय समग्र भारत जानिया उचित एभले गोटे बही टू इन ए लैंग्वेज जोड़ा समस्ते बुझी पारिबे या पूर्व लिखाई नतला द काइंड ऑफ रिसर्च हैज गॉन फॉर दिस माने ट्रिमेंडस आई विल से कारण बही स्टार्ट हुए टाइमलाइन रु आउ प्रीफेस रु बही रो स्टार्टिंग रु ही सबु तक कोटू रेफरेंस नै छंती ऑथर सबु ता विषय रे लिखि छंती just to make sure that he I mean nobody will think that एवडा सब कपड़ गल्पित हिसाब रे लिखाई छु बोली। The author Mr. Nihar Ranjan Nanda himself is a software engineer working in Bangalore. His day-to-day job includes many complex softwares and I believe it's simulation, but his pure love for his motherland, Odisha, has driven him to write this book. ଏଇଭଳିଆ ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ କପିଳେନ୍ଦ୍ର ଦେବଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ କି ଅନ୍ୟ କୌଣସି ଇତିହାସ ବିଷୟରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ଆର୍ଟିକିଲ ବି ଲେଖୁ ଆମକୁ ସପ୍ତାହ 2 ସପ୍ତାହ 3 ସପ୍ତାହ ଲାଗିଯାଏ। ଏଇଭଳିଆ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଲେଖିବାକୁ କେତେ ଯେ ପରିଶ୍ରମ ଯାଇଥିବ ସେଇଟା ଯିଏ ଲେଖିଛି ସିଏ ହିଁ ଜାଣିବ, ଆଉ ପଢିଲା ପରେ ଯଦି ଭଲସେ ଜଣେ ପଢିବ ସିଏ ହିଁ ଜାଣିପାରିବ। ମୁଁ ଆଉ ନିହାତି ବିଷୟରେ କଣ କହିବି, I'll request him only to give a very short introduction of the book, how he got the idea to write this book, and then we will slowly go into Kapilendra Dev's life and so on. Nihar bhai, ମୁଁ unmute କରୁଛି, unmute पे request କରୁଛି kindly. Nihar bhai, again.
Thank you, sir. So it's an amazing introduction. Thank you for that. And I saw someone writing in the chat that we should have this meeting in English. So I think we should go for English only. Yeah. So this book, I think I've been from my childhood. I was always thinking, like, I used to read a lot. So I thought I'll one day write a book. And yeah, slowly, probably by 2015, I started showing some interest in Odisha's history. Odisha and Odisha's history. I used to read a lot before that also. But due to some reason, and like most of the ODIs, I used to read about national issues, international issues, and many other things. But I didn't, invest much time in learning about Odisha and its culture, history, all those things. But suddenly a change came, and by 2015, I started investing my time in reading books related to Odisha. And I somehow felt in 2-3 years, by 2018-19, I somehow felt that we are missing very there are no English book written in detail about any Odia king. Like, for example, if you'll see, for example, for Shivaji Maharaj, Maharana Pratap, or Krishna Deva, because I used to read a lot, so I used to search. Can I find a book on, let's say, Kapilendra or Narasimha Dev or Chodanganga Dev? I never found a book. So it was a very bit of thoughtful, like means Odisha is almost always ignored or something like that. So this is also a situation where I found that somehow we the Odias have not done justice. Outsiders they didn't show much interest, and Odias also didn't write about their history themselves. So somehow I was thinking one day I'll write book, but I didn't think like if I have gathered enough knowledge or enough information to write a book on that. So slowly, due to social media, I must thank social media that like places like Quora and Twitter. When I joined, I started digging deep into various information regarding Odisha's kings, and ultimately I found that Kapilendra Deva should be the national icon. Okay, so should be the national icon from the Odisha point of view, and from the Hindu perspective, in the all over India also, because he was a kind of pan-India king, you can say, at least from eastern and southeastern India, most part of southeastern India he had back. So that was the triggering point. So I thought that I'll write. So I was collecting information. If you see my phone, you'll find like hundreds of screenshot and all those things from various books and various different articles and everything. So with that, I got a someday, probably last year around June, I thought like, okay, now I can start writing a book. So I decided, and then from August, I remember on Ganesh Puja, I started writing the first draft of the one chapter. So yeah, slowly, so I had captured a lot of information already, and I also followed some of the other books and everything related to Kapilendra. Slowly, I started writing, and I found many information were not available previously also. So with that, means I thought I'll write book like 50 page, 180 page, but slowly I gathered more and more information, and it became a 250 page book. And slowly I tried to connect with some of the publishers, and ultimately Subbu Publication from Bangalore only, Karnataka. And they saw my draft and they were appreciative, and they quickly agreed to publish that one. So yeah, so finally it is published, and so I think people are liking that book also right now. Means many outsider non-ODIAs also are reading it and finding it interesting. A lot of information because they didn't know. Because my primary objective was, I think Uttara Sammilani, they have written from their side, they have written one book on Kapilendra in ODI. I read that. But there was nothing on Kapilendra in English. So my objective was that to inform everything to people outside Odisha, because most of them know that many other kings of different regional kings, but hardly anyone knows anything about Odisha. So it was in that direction, and I think slowly people are liking that. Yeah. So then coming, shall I directly go to the book and speak about the details, or?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So the book is basically dedicated completely to Kapilendra Deva, Gajapati Kapilendra Deva, as we say, Suryavanshi Gajapati Kapilendra Deva. So he ruled from 1435 to 1467 of the current era. And we have to understand during that period, India was going through a very difficult situation, you can say, because the outside Turco-Afghan invaders have invaded deep into India, and starting from north to south, every area they have almost captured. Means captured, even though from Vijayawada they bounced back and repulsed the Turks and created a huge, powerful empire in terms of Vijayanagar. But they during Alauddin Khilji's time, it was captured also, the South India also. For Odisha's case, till 1361, it was not captured. It was never captured. It struggled sometimes, but it was never captured. But during the rule of Firoz Shah Tughlaq of Delhi Sultanate, Odisha was finally captured by Firoz in 1361. It is a fascinating manner. He was returning back after defeating the king of Bengal, and suddenly returned back and attacked on Odisha. And Odisha's king Bhanudeva III was unprepared, and he got defeated, and he has to Cuttack was sacked, and terrible destruction happened in Odisha for the first time, and huge amount of wealth was looted. All those things happened. And nonetheless, after Firoz returned, again Bhanudeva declared kind of independence, and all those things happened. By that time, it was clear that Odisha suffered a setback, because before 2-3 centuries before that, starting from 1200, when the Bakhtiyar Khilji led Turks had entered into Bengal and sacked capital of Bengal, Sena dynasty. So they were at the borders of Odisha. So by 1206, I think, they were at the borders of Odisha. So it was like a situation that means they will eventually get into Odisha, because Odisha at that time was not the present Odisha that we know. At that time, it was like river Damodar in West Bengal, falls in probably Bankura and Howrah, Hooghly district, part of that, and west of Hooghly district, something like that, Hooghly river, something like that. To the south, it was like um, Godavari. So it was a huge kingdom at that time. It was changing borders at times because sometimes some invaders used to capture something. That was happening, but overall, this was what Odisha was at that time. Nice. So the Turks started attacking from the north, but they defeated again and again and again. Multiple times they were defeated. Sometimes even during Narasimha Deva I's period, the Odissan's army marched to capital of Bengal province, that is Lucknow, and sacked that, something like that. Those things also happened. So ultimately, Odisha's kingdom, the Gajapati, the Ganga kingdom, was intact. But by 1361, everything changed. Like after this sack of Cuttack, the multiple invaders like the Reddy kingdoms of south and also the Bengal Sultan and the Malwa kingdom, the Jaunpur kingdom, all these kingdoms which were bordering Odisha invaded, sometimes successfully, sometimes with loot and everything, destruction of temples and all those things happened. So it was slowly, you can say, declining state. And also in the south, one interesting phenomenon was happening. The Vijayanagar kingdom, which was becoming slowly powerful. So as per one source also, Vijayanagar by the time 1356, to be precise, they also attacked Odisha. Probably, I think I have mentioned in my book. That is likely with the combination with the coalition with the Reddy kingdoms. Though they had attacked and captured some part of the then Odisha Ganga kingdom. So ultimately, it was declining, you can say. So at that time, the final Ganga ruler, that is Bhanudeva IV. Bhanudeva IV was the last Ganga ruler of Cuttack, ruling from Cuttack. He, in his initial part of his rule, he was means okay kind of king. He invaded successfully. As per one source, he invaded deep into Bengal. Some scholars say that at that time Bengal was being in the Bengal's king was like torturing Hindus and all those things. And in response, actually, Bhanudeva IV invaded, but we do not have any direct reference, but that could also be a possibility. And in south also, he probably invaded during when the in the Vijayanagar king Devaraya II was fighting with the Muslims at that time. The Reddy kingdom, which was based out of Kondavidu, and there are two Reddy kingdoms, Kondavidu and Rajamandri. So they were constantly attacking the Ganga kingdom, and Ganga kingdom was also attacking them. So it was like a bidirectional invasion was happening. At that time, Devaraya II was fighting here. At that time, Bhanudeva thought it is big powerful, so he also invaded and marched till Kundavidu. As per one source, he marched till Kundavidu. Kundavidu is like if you can see beyond Krishna River in the Andhra Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh. So these things were happening, but once Devaraya II became free, he helped the Reddy king and marched till defeated Bhanudeva II, Bhanudeva IV, and marched till Simachalam. Captured Simachalam. Simachalam was part of Odishan king at that time. So with this, Bhanudeva's decline started, and also the Malwa king, Malwa Sultan, invaded deep into Odisha, and not directly. He came in a subterfuge and as a horse trader, and captured probably the king or the prince. Someone he captured from the royal family, and the king had to pay a lot much of tribute and all those things. So Odishan kingdom was in complete disarray. So it was like regularly people are thinking like it will finally be captured and everything will be like other kingdoms also. Odisha will become the part of the Sultanate of either Bengal or Bahmani Sultan or Malwa, something like that. So at that time, Kapilendra was a minister of Bhanudeva. So Kapilendra was not a royal, not of a royal blood. So in Odisha, there are many theories like where did Kapilendra come from. So as per Madara Panji, they say he was a beggar in the Bimala temple premises of Jagannath temple, Puri Jagannath temple compound, and some say he was working as a what do you call cowboy in the in the Brahmin under a Brahmin, and at that time a cobra came while he was sleeping and raising its hood, it saved him from the sun rays. All those stories are there, but we actually do not know exactly where did he come from and all these family details, exactly when he took birth and all those things we do not know. But he was a minister. This thing is for sure that he was a minister in the Bhanudeva's court. So with failure of Bhanudeva to protect Odishan territory from the invaders, one thing was observed that ultimately the loss of treasury due to tribute and all those things ultimately impacted the general population. So they were taxed more and all those things happened. The salt tax, other taxes, all those things happened. So there was a discontent between the among the people of Odisha, people of his kingdom, and they somehow wanted someone powerful who will just stop this invasion at least. And before during Bhanudeva IV's rule also, Kapilendra had some military successes also. So people were thinking to place someone in place of Bhanudeva, just place someone powerful so that he can save them. So this is like our traditional shastras also call, like if the king is not able to protect the land and the people, then he must be replaced. Something similar happened. Some of the nobles in the Katak court just helped Kapilendra and made him the king. Ultimately, he became the king of Odisha. And when it happened, when Bhanudeva was fighting in the south, I mean not fighting, he had moved to south to fight probably the Reddys who was being supported by the Vijayanagar. He probably went to fight them in the south. So Kapilendra at that time became the king of Odisha with this coup. And then another thing interesting to note here is Kapilendra did not get coronated in Cuttack, not in the capital was Cuttack. He was not coronated in Cuttack. Instead, he was coronated in Bhubaneswar, what we call Kritivasa Cuttack, that was known as Kritivasa Cuttack. There only he got coronated. The reason I believe some people say Kapilendra's origin, some say he was from South Odisha, some say he was from Jaspur, some say some different theories are there. But as per my understanding, what I have mentioned also in my book, so probably Kapilendra, why did he get coronated in Bhubaneswar? The reason was he was himself his family was a feudatory in Bhubaneswar region, Bhubaneswar Khordha region. His family belongs to actually, because of which he had a support base at that location itself. And the second thing was Bhanudeva was in south and Cuttack was in north and Bhubaneswar was in middle. So he chose a location where he can stop Bhanudeva to come back to the capital to gain more troops and fight to stop him, he just chose that location also. And another thing was Puri was in middle of Cuttack. I mean, Bhubaneswar was in middle of Puri and Cuttack. So he strategically chose that location. And Puri was important because Puri, as the Puri Jagannath temple was the ultimate, Jagannath was the ultimate sovereign of Odisha. So whatever the Puri Pandas said, and those things are of very much importance. So to persuade them, also Kapilendra probably choose that location. So he stopped Bhanudeva from either going to Puri or either to Cuttack. This way he became the king. So this was the first success, and with relative ease actually he became the king. But even though it was relatively easier, but to be frank, to sustain that kingdom, it was much difficult, because some of the people were supporter of Bhanudeva, and some thought it's probably the best time to declare independence and do their own and become independent and do their own everything. So many kingdoms and mostly the Gajapati kingdoms of the western Odisha and southern Odisha, even northern Odisha also, they declared independence. So in this process, what happened? The entire kingdom, the Odishan kingdom, at the time when Kapilendra became the king, was just few districts surrounding Cuttack. 5-6 districts surrounding Cuttack. Even in the south, you can see the Ganjam region, south of Ganjam, the Gajapati district of current Gajapati district, and also south of that, the senior Simachalam. All those regions were being ruled by feudatory kings, and they declared independence or either held Bhanudeva, something like that happened. So at the beginning of Kapilendra's rule, probably he had around 5 to 6 districts under him of modern Odisha, 5 to 6 districts under him. Even some places near Cuttack also, like Kujanga, Kerala, something like that, 2-3 places, 2-3 small kingdoms, they had also declared independence. You can imagine the scenario at that time. So he got a very small kingdom. But I think 50 to 60,000 something square kilometer it will be, the kingdom size will be, if you measure. But ultimately he decided, if you read his inscription, first inscription, not first, the second inscription, he mentions in the Lingaraj temple inscription that all the feudatory kings must respect his sovereignty. Means they should accept Kapilendra as their leader. Otherwise, their properties will be confiscated and they will be kicked out of their kingdom. Some threatening message has been written. Probably Kapilendra himself has written that inscription, at least framed that inscription. So by that time, slowly he started showing aggression. So slowly, if you see, within 10 years, he captured almost all the 10 to 15 years. First 10, 15 years, he captured almost all the, he regained the territory of whatever Bhanudeva IV had earlier. He regained almost entire territory. At that time, the Sultan of Bengal, he thought that it is an opportune moment. Due to coup, the Odishan kingdom is weak and he can invade and just get tribute and all those things. He can do that. Thinking of that, he invaded from the north, and Bhanudeva and Kapilendra sent his minister Gopinatha Mahapatra to push them back. And Gopinatha was successful and he pushed them back. And Kapilendra, this is on the third Anka year, means second year. I think it will 1437. Kapilendra defeated them and marched till Ganga. Ganga means Hugli, and probably Medinapur district, eastern Medinapur district was captured, and eastern and western Medinapur district are captured. And he also gave a village donation to the Brahmins. name is at Tulsipur village. Probably it is in modern Bankura or Medinapur district. And also there's an inscription in Medinapur district where it is mentioned about he building a temple wall there. So all these things happened. And slowly, this was by 1437. And slowly he captured also in the south. In the south, he defeated the Reddy kings and the Vijayanagara Devaraya too, who were supporting the Reddy kings. He defeated them and captured Simachalam. By 1441, he captured Simachalam. You can find inscription of Kapilendra in 1441 also in Simachalam. So some scholars have confused that period, but if you read it properly, so you'll find that Simachalam was captured by 1441, and most likely Devaraya II and the Reddy ruler both were defeated, and the region come to Gajapati, included in the Gajapati kingdom. And there's another, the Malwa Sultanate. The thing is very interesting. Some of the scholars have completely ignored that, but in my study, what I found that there are plenty of information about Malwa actually. So Malwa, some scholars have actually accepted that Malwa invading Odisha before Kapilendra, but somehow they have ignored this part, Kapilendra's inscription talking about invasion towards Malwa. So for people who don't know, Malwa is a part of Western, modern day Western Madhya Pradesh, not even Eastern, Western Madhya Pradesh. The capital was Dhara, Dhar that we say, or Mandu, that was named at that time. So anyway, so by what I found in my study is by 1442, the Sultan of Malwa, Mahmud Khalji, he had marched deep into modern day Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh was a very hilly and forest region. There he took, as usual, some huge elephants were available there. So he threatened the kings there and captured their elephants and got tribute from them. And western part of Odisha also he had captured. So if you study inscription of Gopinatha Mahapatra, was the minister of Kapilendra. He also, during that time exactly, and as per Madara Panji, these two, if you study in conjunction, you find that Gopinatha Mahapatra actually invaded western part of his Kapilendra's kingdom, and most likely during that time he defeated the Malwa king. And there's another scenario also which I have mentioned, but I'm not sure about that. Kapilendra mentions that he invaded to the capital of Malwa, which was deep into Madhya Pradesh. So because there are multiple references, and that kind of references even you will not find for Gupta or Chola kingdoms, but nonetheless those references were somehow ignored. But I found that there's a possibility that Malwa king somehow had invaded deep into Delhi, and at that time probably Kapilendra sent his son or Gopinatha Mahapatra probably to invade into Malwa. So these kind of things happened. So Kapilendra by 1445 was in a comfortable position and captured most of the territory of the previous kings, Bhanudeva. So first thing we have to note here, because this book, I'll say, this book I have written in a political point of view, military and political point of view. This is a deliberate attempt actually, because I felt the previous authors who have written it, they have taken a different route actually. They try to showcase the social and cultural, aspect of Gajapati kingdoms more compared to the militaristic approach that they have taken. All those things they have relatively ignored. Somehow I do not know, because that was probably the trend. But I thought I have to give a different touch. I have to find out sources which will talk about the military and political environment of the time, which I have tried. So if you are hearing me this time, so you will find me speak more about those political things, even though in my book I have tried to mention some of the administrative details, some economic aspects. Those I have tried, social things also I tried to incorporate in the book, but the idea was this political thing. So I'm just mentioning. Okay, so this was by 1445. So by 1448 to 50, during that time, Kapilendra, after settling matters with Malwa and in the south, he decided to invade into Bengal. So he invaded Bengal. He invaded Bengal into there's a Mandaran was a province there in Bengal, which was most likely ruled by Barbak Saha, who was the son of the Sultan at that time. I have written that in my book. So and captured that Mandaran, and also in my opinion, he also marched in the western part of northwestern part of Bengal, like Bankura, entire Bankura and the Bardhaman district, and even Birbhum, part of Birbhum, probably. I'm not sure, but probably he also did that. If you see the geography, you'll come to know. So those areas were included, means he at least invaded and captured that. And also the Jharkhand region. Jharkhand region was obviously hilly region, but before that, the during the Ganga kings, Jharkhand had been added to the Gajapati Empire already, the Ganga Empire already. So if you see, there is a reference of Odisha bordering Bihar, which was Bihar's border was south of until south of Gaya district, modern Gaya district. So Odisha bordering that. So there's a reference by a Afghan scholar at that time, I think 1494 or something like that. He has mentioned that Odisha was bordering that Gaya district. So you can understand that Odisha was bordering south of Bihar, like north of Jharkhand, and major part of modern West Bengal, and Hooghly district, Hooghly river. So major chunk of that region was included in Kapilendra's territory. But you'll see one thing, I think future research will probably inform. Kapilendra in his inscription mentions he was Gaudeswara. Gauda was Bengal at that time. So he mentions Gaudeswara. So that because he was not ruling a very major part of modern West Bengal or Bangladesh. So so he was mentioned Gaudeswara. So yeah, so he was not ruling major part of modern Bangladesh or Bengal, because that's Gouda, the part that he was ruling, Rar Bengal, currently we know Rar Bangla, Rar region. Anyway, but I think he probably by 1450 he invaded deep into Bengal, which we do not find any mention directly. But in my opinion, he invaded and returned back and captured ruled till Mandaran. So something like that happened, or probably he was defeated or pushed back. At least something happened at that time, but we do not know exactly what happened, because we do not have any reference of that. So but Mandaran and that part was included in Kapilendra's territory. So this was for, he used the title Gaudeswara. Gaudeswara at that time. Gaudeswara is Gauda is Bengal, and Gaudeswara he first time mentioned in his inscription. And that is in 1450 in Jagannath temple inscription. He mentions Gaudeswara. He calls himself Gaudeswara. Okay. So and there is another confusion, like he mentions the Madharapanji mentions after Malika Parisha Diga Vijay Kari, means after defeating Malik, Parisha means Badshah. So some scholars confuse that it was Malik, means here it is he is talking about Mallikarjuna, who was the king of Vijayanagara. But in my opinion, that is not correct. Malik means here he is talking about Barbaksa, who was called also Malik in some of the inscription in Bengal. And he was the governor. He was not the Badshah actually. His father was the Badshah. After some years he became the Badshah. But anyway, so that is the reason it is mentioned that Malika Parisa Digavijay Kari means after defeating the Malik Badshah, which was Barbaksa. So after defeating him, he captured those regions and included that into his kingdom. This is what happened. And the western part of Odisha and major part of Chhattisgarh was also included, including the Jharkhand and major part of modern West Bengal. So this was the situation in the north. In the south, he slowly captured after capturing Simachalam, he captured the Rajamohunji after the death of Devaraya II, who was helping the Reddy king. When he died in 1446, Kapilendra immediately marched, and by 1448, 47, 48, something around that time, he captured Rajamohunji. Rajamohunji was captured, and then he again marched, and by 1454 captured the Kondavidu fort. Kondavidu fort was by that time was under the Vijayanagar kings. He captured that, and by 1448 there was a fight between the after he captured the Rajamohunji kingdom, Rajamohunji province. He came in contact with the King Sultan Sahib, Bahmani Sultan. So there was a Bahmani governor of Telangana province. Telangana was a province of modern Telangana, province of Bahmani kingdom. So Bahmani Sultan's the governor was named Sanjar Khan. So Sanjar Khan was a tyrant, means he used to treat badly treat the Hindus very badly. He used to capture them and sell them as slaves in outside India and elsewhere. He used to do that. He used to torture people. All those things were happening. So Kapilendra was aware of this, and once he became free of the northern campaigns, he invaded into Telangana. In 1448, there was a fight in Khamamet in modern day Telangana Andhra border. Khamamet, there he defeated his son. I have to add here. So, Hambira Deva was the son of Kapilendra, and Hambira was the most powerful, what do you say, most decorated commander of that time in India, actually, to be honest, because the number of battles against some of the most powerful kings he fought and defeated almost everyone. So I must include him here. So Hambira captured Hambira, and some Telugu generals also was part of Kapilendra's army. All of them combined helped Hambira, and they defeated the Sanjar Khan in Khamamet, and then Khamamet was captured. So at that time, actually, the Sultan of Bahmani Sultan has warned the Sanjar Khan that you should not fight with the king of Odisha. I mean, king of Odisha, who possesses 2 lakh number of elephants. You can imagine 2 lakhs elephants means this is unimaginable. So even though it looks like an exaggeration, but the fact is, like, without doubt, the Gajapati army had thousands of, at least tens or 20,000, something like that, of elephants at that time. Because the very name Gajapati itself signifies the Odia army had a lot of elephants itself. Nonetheless, so Sanjar Khan was slain, and the Hindus of Telangana who were suffering, they were saved by the army of Kapilendra. And then again, so the Bahmani Sultan was devastated by this defeat, and the Kapilendra had arrived by that time. By 1454, he has captured Kondavidi from the Kondavidi is a very significant fort. It was the capital of the Reddy kingdoms, which was captured by the Vijayanagar earlier, and Kapilendra captured it from them. So by arriving at Kondavidi, Kapilendra proved that means it was a grand arrival of the Odishan army in the southern part, and with that he started investing upon the Vijayanagar kingdom. Vijayanagar at that time probably was going through a rough phase. We do not know of the details, but I assume there was some internal struggle and something like that was happening. So Kapilendra thought of invading it, go into detail, depth up deep inside Vijayanagar kingdom. So after slowly he went to marched into Kurnool. Kurnool is modern day. I think some division of districts that happened in Andhra Pradesh region. So Kurnool at that time is modern Sri Sailam that we know. Sri Sailam, the Jyotirling temple is there. So Kapilendra captured that, and his Narasimha Raya. Narasimha Raya was the person who helped him capture that Kurnool. Kurnool is bordering Andhra and Karnataka almost. So he captured that, and Narasimha Rao was placed as a governor there. And then after that, Kapilendra sent his son down south. He Hamambira. Hamambira again captured the fort of Udayagiri, which is in Nellore district, modern Nellore. I think it has changed probably, but Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh. So and then again Chandragiri, the nearby Chandragiri is near Tirupati, and that was also captured. So all these things happened, and at that time, by 1460, these things, 1460, 62, this almost entire Andhra Pradesh was captured. And then again, coming back to Kapilendra was fighting a multi-front war actually. If you see, in north he was fighting, in south he was fighting, in southwest he was fighting, in west he was fighting, in northwest also he was fighting. So I think he will be like fighting with like 5 to 6 4 sultans, and if you include all his instances, he also mentions he fought with Delhi multiple times. He mentions that he fought with Delhi Sultanate. We do not have all the information, but it is not unlikely that he fought. I tried to in my study, I tried to find multiple sources, but in some Telugu sources it is mentioned that he fought with Delhi. In Odia sources he mentions, in inscriptions also it is mentioned, but it is sometimes difficult to confirm that how he fought with Delhi, because in the north it was Bengal, west of that was Jaunpur kingdom, which was in modern UP, eastern UP, and in the west it was Malwa. So after crossing only Malwa and crossing Jaunpur only, there's a possibility that he could have fought, but we do not know that whether he crossed those kingdoms and go deep into Delhi. So it is difficult to say, but some scholars say that probably he sent a army unit along with some of the probably Jaunpur or Malwa or some any other semi-independent kingdom to help them to fight against Delhi. That could be a possibility, but I couldn't find any details, so I have not confirmed anything. So there's a possibility. Probably future research will tell us, but there's a possibility. And another thing I forgot to mention, he also Kapilendra's grandson, that is Pratap Rudradeva, in his literary work has mentioned that Kapilendra invaded Nepal, right? Nepal is north of Bihar, so we know that he was ruling from south Bihar, south of Bihar. But whether he crossed and because Jaunpur kingdom was there, whether he crossed and marched till Nepal, we do not know. There's a possible, not impossible, but we do not know, so we should not confirm anything here. Anyway, so coming to Bahmani, again Bahmani kingdom. So around 1458, at that time, what was happening in Telangana was the some Telugu warlords like Madalinga, who was ruling some part of Telangana at that time. He used to help the Bahmani kingdoms at times, because they were sometimes cordial relation was there, but they were not happy with them. But they were forced to help them at times. But anyway, but during 1458, they did not extend help to Bahmanis, and in fact started fighting against them and helped some rebels. So, seeing that, the king was furious and he invaded um, the kingdom of this Linga. So, Linga fought hard, but he was a small kingdom, so he was defeated and he was forced back to the fort of Devarakonda. Devarakonda is modern Telangana. So, Kapilendra, seeing this, and forced him back to Devarakonda, and he took shelter in Devarakonda and sent a message to Kapilendra that please come and help me. Then Kapilendra sent his son Hamavira against this Sultan. So they were besieging that fort at that time. Hamavira arrived. So Hamavira attacked from the front, I mean behind, and they attacked from the army of Linga, come out of the fort and attack from front. So the Bahmani forces were completely routed. So you'll very rarely you'll read when the Muslim scholars writing something like that, forces of Islam were routed, something like that they have mentioned. Very rarely you'll hear something like that. So you can understand the situation at that time. So by that, then Devarkonda was captured, and other nearby forts, Rachakonda, even Golconda, other some nearby forts were also captured by the Gajapati army. But the king was, the Bahmani Sultan was furious. He tried to invade, but due to some internal struggle there in the Bahmani court, he couldn't. And he sent his minister, Muhammad Gawan, to fight, but he also couldn't recover the fort. And he was ruling from as a governor in Warangal. Warangal was the headquarter of Telangana. So again, by 1461, sorry, 1460, yeah, 1460, Kapilendra sent his son Hamavira and his niece, Hamavira's cousin, and that is Raghudeva. Both were invaded the capital of Telangana province, that is Warangal, and captured it on February 2. February 2, we find two inscriptions inside the Warangal fort, and Warangal was captured. In fact, Muhammad Gawan was also captured. Muhammad Gawan was a very famous minister who later helped Bahmani king. But anyway, he was captured, but he was released, pardoned later. So entire Telangana was captured. After capturing Warangal, the Gajapati army went further northwest and captured the fort of Mahur. Mahur fort is present in modern day Maharashtra, I think Nanded district, Maharashtra and Telangana border. So you can imagine the army was moving constantly north, south, east, west, everywhere. I have also in my book I have shown the where did the march of the route of the march of the army of Kapilendra. All those things I mentioned. You can read there. This was the thing. Then finally, by 1461, Kapilendra decided the king of Bahmani Humayun Shah died. He was a broken man and died after losing a lot of territory from a Hindu king. He died, and by 1461, his 8-year-old son was coronated because he died early. So he was coronated, but his ministers were supporting this. Muhammad Gawan and others were supporting him. So Kapilendra decided that it is the opportune moment we should invade into capital of Bahmani. Bahmani capital was very rarely someone has invaded at that time, because Bahmanis were very powerful. They're constantly fighting with Vijayanagar and succeeding many of the occasions, if not all. So they are powerful. So Kapilendra invaded into Bidar. Bidar was the capital of Bahmani Sultanate. So he captured almost reached by almost 10 kilometers away from the Bidar. He had reached Hamabira. Hamabira or probably Purushottam, we do not know, but someone from the Gajapati army had reached. But Ferista, the author, 100 years later, he mentions that the Gajapati forces were defeated and they had to pay tribute, something like that. He mentioned. He's usually exaggerates some things like that. But thinking that probably Gajapati army was repulsed. I mean, because multiple sources are there. Some scholars say that it was repulsed because from the north, Jaunpur kingdom attacked on the Gajapati Odisha. But I don't think that was the case, because the dating is not correct. Nonetheless, the Gajapati army returned back, and at that time only the Malwa Sultan found that the Hindus have reached the borders of Bidar, and it is the opportune moment to attack on Bidar itself, on the Bahmanis itself. So he invaded the Bahmani kingdom. And the Bahmani king assigned some of his ministers to protect from the Odishan side, and tried to stop Malwa king. But ultimately, he was defeated, and the Malwa king captured the Bidar, the capital. But here, one interesting thing is to note here, some Telugu sources, Telugu poetic verses, they mention that Bidar was a fort of Kapilendra. Means Kapilendra had captured Bidar. There's a mention. And also one of the 18th century, late 18th century and early 19th century text also mentions Bidar was a fort under Bidar was captured by Purushottama Deva. Okay, so it mentions. So that actually, but if you see that, read that text actually talks about Kapilendra, not Purushottama, but somehow it mentions Purushottama. Nonetheless, so some, I think by 1461, after the Malwa king captured Bidar, Kapilendra just was pushed back. Kapilendra's army was pushed back by then. But at that time, Gujarat king attacked on Malwa, and Malwa had to retreat back. And Gajapati army invaded Bidar and pushed, defeating the Malwa king. This is a likely scenario. They captured Bidar, because of which Kapilendra was called Kalavargeshwara. Kalavarga is Gulbarga. Gulbarga is nothing but the Bahmani kingdom. The earlier capital of Bahmani was called Gulbarga. So that was Bahmani kingdom. So he used that epithet. Anyway, there's some confusion, but most likely that was the scenario. Some scholars agree, some don't agree. But in my observation, this could be a possibility. Most likely a possibility. So you can understand. So Bengal, Malwa, Bahmani, three powerful. You can understand, three powerful Muslim sultanates were defeated by Kapilendra, and even capital were captured. Something like that happened. Means even Muslim sources say at least he reached at the border of Bidar, which is not a small thing. And Muslim sources also confirm that by the time of death of Kapilendra also, Telangana was completely under his rule. So it was a complete rule, not like some raid or something like that. Anyway, so we'll come to Vijayanagar now. So as I said, the Udaygiri and Chandragiri forts were captured. So after that, Kapilendra invaded into, sent his son Hamabira to invade into modern Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu region he sent to invade Chola and Pandya kingdoms. At that time, they were probably feudatories of Vijayanagar. So they invaded and captured the this thing. So you can see Kapilendra invaded to Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu. So first thing was like the kingdom of the Chola and Pandya kingdoms were invading. I mean, where are the feudatories, as I said, and he invaded those two kingdoms, and finally he captured, I think, by 1462, 61, 62, 1464. By before this period, he captured till Trichy, modern Trichy, and he Hamavira Ma still what is now Rameshwaram. He captured Rameshwaram. So Rameshwaram was captured, and there's another mention. There's a place called Sri Khandadri. Sri Khandadri is mentioned in one of the inscription. Some scholars have misread that and said that this is a some other place they have mentioned. But I searched that and I found that Sri Khandadri is actually mentioned in multiple Indian sources. The Sri Khandadri is in the border of Tamil Nadu and this thing, Kerala. So you can imagine Tamil Nadu, Kerala. There's a river which passes through river Vaigai, I think, if I am pronouncing it correctly, that passes through Madurai and goes to meets the sea in the Rameshwaram, near Rameshwaram. So that entire region was captured. In fact, Kapilendra in his inscriptions mentioned that Pandyan kingdom was also captured. So you can imagine almost entire 80% of Tamil Nadu was captured, and some part of Karnataka in the north, Bidar, and probably near Bangalore, and those areas were also captured. Now there's a very interesting thing is regarding the capture of capital of Vijayanagara, that is Hampi. So Kapilendra's grandson, that is Prataparudra Deva, in his inscription of 1500 CE, mentions that Kapilendra captured, categorically he mentions that Kapilendra captured capital of Vijayanagara, that is Hampi, and got a tribute from it. So some of the scholars disagree with this, because there is a Sanskrit war during that period, Gangadasa Pratapa Bilasam, named Gangadasa Pratapa Bilasam, which says the Gajapati army invaded Hampi, but was defeated. Gajapati and Hayapati. Gajapati is Gajapati and Hayapati is Bahmani Sultan, who invaded Hampi and were defeated by Mallikarjuna, even though there is no mention of this in any of his Mallikarjuna's inscription. So I have tried to analyze that entire period, and I found a few things. For example, I considered Madara Panji, I considered this Gangadas Pratap Bilasam, I consider the inscription, which is of topmost priority in my opinion, and most of the scholars also use this inscriptions. And then I also found two more new interesting things. One was the inscription at Gutti Fort. That Gutti Fort is a fort bordering Karnataka, 140 kilometers away from Hampi. And another thing is I found a Kaifiyat. Kaifiyat is like village chronicles of different regions in Andhra. So there's a Kondavadu Kaifiyat. There's a mention that Purushottama Deva captured Hampi. Direct mention is there. Along with that inscription, we found this thing. Purushottama Deva captured Hampi. And this Gutti Fort, we also find an inscription. There's some issue with the dating of that fort in that inscription. Therefore, some scholars are ignored. And there's another thing is that in that inscription, it is mentioned Gajapati Hamira besieged this fort in 1422 against while the rule of Praudha Devaraya. So there are two issues. The Praudha Devaraya is Devaraya II usually. But if you see, Mallikarjuna is also called Praudha Devaraya in some of his inscriptions. I found that. So that issue was resolved. But the problem was 1422 it is mentioned. but that inscription was actually inscribed in 1600 something, and he talks about a previous thing, and which was deciphered in 1920 or something like that. So I think some misreading is there, and because Gajapati Hamira, if you remember, it categorically says Gajapati Hamira. Hamira is none other than Gajapati Kapilendra's son Hamavira Deva, who is also called Hamira in some of the inscription and some in Madara Panji also. So there should not be any doubt that Bhuti Fort was captured at that time, which is 140 kilometers away from that Hampi. And also this Kondavidu Kaifiyat says Purushottama captured. Actually, yeah. So I want to add another thing. Kapilendra by 1464, 62, something like that, he became old and he appointed Purushottama as his successor. By 1464 around, he appointed him. So in my opinion, Purushottama Deva actually invaded Hampi and captured it for some brief period of time, or maybe surrounded it and got tribute from this. Something like that happened. And because of that, the inscription actually says that, because the inscription is of Pratap Rudradeva, who was the son of Purushottama and grandson of Kapilendra. So he categorically mentioned that Kapilendra captured, not his father. So I think this is the chronology, that his father captured, but he was the Gajapati was Kapilendra at that time. So that's why the confusion. So, and this Gangadasa Pratapa Belasam that I said, that is bit confusing, because it says what it says. It says during the initial rule of Mallikarjuna, Gajapati and Hayapati had attacked. So initial rule, Mallikarjuna ruled from 1444 to 1465. So initial rule cannot be later than 1456. You can say. So I checked Madara Panji. Madara Panji mentions about Vidyanagari twice. Vidyanagari was nothing but Vijayanagar twice. Kapilendra invaded Vijayanagar twice. It mentions during the initial period by 1450 and during the later period by around 1460, something like that. So, so actually what has happened is, initially after capturing Rajamohendri, Kapilendra actually raided Hampi, but Mallikarjuna actually pushed him back, defeated him and pushed him back. Because of that, it says the Gangadasa Pratap Belasam says like that. But the second attempt, Kapilendra came in full force and captured Kapilendra on Purushottama under his rule. So captured Hampi and got tribute for some time, probably. I don't know how much, but something like that happened. So this is what happened, and yeah, by 1460 to 65, somewhere around that time, Hampi was captured for a brief period. Okay, so yeah, so finally, I think, do we have enough time? Okay. Yeah.
You can go on for another 10-15 minutes.
Okay, that is fine. That is fine. Okay. So this is, by this time, Kapilendra actually completely had gone old and sick, and he wanted to choose his successor. So everyone was thinking like Hamavira was the main person who was the reason behind Kapilendra's success in the south, will become the king. But due to some reason, we do not know why, Purushottama Deva was became the king, and Kapilendra chose him as his successor, and this started this thing, fight between two brothers. So what happened is, Purushottama was at Cuttack, but Hambira was in south, ruling as a governor. So Purushottam had much control on the army and everything. So, but Hambira was in south, so there's the fight started. So due to this fight, others took benefit, and Vijayanagar recaptured some of the territories in the Tamil Nadu region during the rule of Kapilendra itself, because Kapilendra ruled till 1467. By 1466, actually, some of the major chunk of Tamil Nadu was recaptured by the Vijayanagar army. Hambira tried to, means capture and recapture was happening. Hambira tried to fight back, but the Gajapati army in the capital, after death of Kapilendra, Gajapati army in the capital, that is in Cuttack, Purushottam did not help him. Due to this reason, major chunk of entire Tamil Nadu was lost, even part of Andhra was lost, major part of Andhra was lost. So these things happened. But anyway, means Purushottam became the king, and then Kapilendra died, and major chunk of territory was lost. In the south, in the north, there is some of the scholars have misread one of the sources and confirm, I mean, opined that the fort of Mandaran was lost. But that fort of Mandaran was not lost. I have checked that source. I forgot that name, the source, that Rishalat ul Sahada, something like that, the name. There's a Persian text of 1633, something like that, a later period text, which says the Gajapati the Gajapati army was defeated during the rule of Barbak Saha. Gajapati army was defeated, and the Mandaran was captured. So some scholars hoping that as Barbak Saha was ruling till 1474, so before that it happened, and some they have misread Kapilendra's death, which they think it was 1470. Because of that, they think that Mandaran was captured by this Ismail Ghazi. Ismail Ghazi was a this thing commander of Bengal army. But I searched that and found that there is no reason to believe this this thing, and there's some confusion regarding. And also this Ismail Ghazi has actually came to Bengal after Kapilendra's death, or almost at the time of Kapilendra's death. And if in case he invaded after 1467 during the rule of Purushottam. So his capture of Mandaran during the rule of Kapilendra is completely baseless. Anyway, so you can see, and in the entire period from 1435 to 1467, Kapilendra was constantly fighting with Bengal, which was a very powerful and resource-rich state, resource-rich kingdom. So Bengal and Jaunpur. Yeah, I forgot one thing, Jaunpur. So there are two sources, Ferista and another one, I think Nijamuddin or something. They mention that there was an invasion from Jaunpur towards Odisha twice, in 1444, and another one is between 1458 to 66, but no one knows exactly the date. This was a guesswork that they say the invasion happened. But the thing is that they directly, as usual, they mentioned they invaded, destroyed temples, and took looted something, few things, and returned back, something like that mentioned. But in Odishan source, nothing is mentioned. So this usually happens that when a losing side do not mention the war it fought or something like that. But in Odishan source, you'll find many instances where the Muslim sides have attacked and looted and all those things have mentioned. So usually one would expect this will also find a mention, but there is no mention. Only thing is mentioned is that in the Sarala Das Mahabharata, Saranadasa mentions in Mahabharata. Actually, that is an interesting thing I found. Saranadasa's Mahabharata, if you read, you will find one interesting thing. In the Mahabharata, he mentions about Pandavas, and Pandavas are from Odisha, and they are nothing but Gajapati Kapilendra Dev's army actually. If you see in his inscription, in the book, he mentions Pandavas invaded Tamil Nadu, Pandavas invaded Kondavidu, Sri Sailam, all those things. Every places that has Kapilendra had invaded is mentioned in Saradasa's sources. So using that source, we can come to K.C. Panigrahi, Dr. K.C. Panigrahi Padma Shri, he has mentioned that this actually is a historical thing, and we should not get confused that this is a some Puranic thing or something like that. Means he uses the setting of Mahabharata, but uses historical thing to portray historical things, because this was very usual thing. Means this is not very not this is very normal thing that at that time the Hindu sources used to write history this in a this manner, Mahabharata setting or Ramayana setting or something like that. They did not write directly sources directly. Okay, so Kapilendra, yeah. So this source says Kapilendra sent his army. No, it says Pandavas. It says Pandavas sent his army to uh, some place in, I think, Banaras. But while returning back, the army of Jaunpur fought with them. Okay, and again the larger army fought with them, but were defeated, and then the larger army of Jaunpur came, and they also again fought with them, but they were defeated, something like that it mentions. But the Pandavas sent one of the courtiers, and he made a truce, something like that is mentioned. So if you compare this source with the whatever Muslim source is there, Muslim source actually says something similar. They say there was a means invasion, means raid kind of invasion, not conquest, the raid, and some loot happened and something like that. And this source says means some fighting happened, and it was, even though Kapilendra was on means in a commanding position, but he made a truce. And Muslim sources almost similar kind of thing it says, but it says the Jaunpur Sultan was actually in a commanding position. So we can assume there was a what do you say, means no one was clearly victorious, something like that was probably happened. But as usual, some of the Muslim sources has mentioned that it means they looted and all those things, but probably they looted some of the feudatory kings in the Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand or Western Odisha region. They probably might have done that, but the heartland of Odisha kingdom, I mean the coastal Odisha, they had not invaded. Means there is no thing to accept that. Because another thing to know, because Jharkhand was also part of Gajapati kingdom till the very end of this Jaunpur kingdom. So if they would have invaded, obviously Jharkhand would have been a part of Jaunpur. So, but that was not the case. So this implies that, you know, there's some, we should not believe the Persian sources blindly because of this reason. Nonetheless, so what I was saying, so Bengal, Jaunpur was also a powerful kingdom. Jaunpur had defeated the Delhi Sultanate one or two twice, even invaded deep into Delhi capital they have invaded. Bengal, as I said, was a powerful and resource-rich region. Then Malwa was a powerful, Malwa's king Mahmud Khilji was a powerful king who had invaded Bidar, the capital of Pahamani, and also Delhi, also reached in the border of Delhi. So you can imagine. So all these kings were powerful, and Kapilendra defeated almost all of them, almost all of them, or at least stop them to invade deep into Odisha. So, means you can understand. So at a peak of his career, I think 1464, starting from Jharkhand and in the northeast, like Hooghly River, to in the south, I think Rameshwaram, Madurai, all those regions, to in the west, part of Maharashtra, the Mahur Fort, and entire Telangana, entire modern Andhra Pradesh, part of small part of Karnataka, and a major chunk of Tamil Nadu was under his rule. So, in my opinion, I have mentioned that also. I think after him, till Marathas, Kapilendra's empire would be the largest Hindu empire of the period, and he was the most powerful ruler of 15th century India, because the most powerful conqueror. because as I said, he had 5 to 6 district surrounding Cuttack at that time under his rule. But at his peak, he was like captured almost, I think, 7 to 8 lakh square kilometer of India, like almost 25% to 30% of India he captured. So you can imagine the scale. I think 14 to 15 times his empire, his kingdom got enlarged. So this is a very rare instance, a Hindu king defeating so many Muslim kings and creating such a huge empire in a very short time period. This was a very huge achievement. Means everyone should actually know about this, but unfortunately, as we have not been able to portray him as a national icon like the others like Shivaji Maharaj as Maharana Pratap or Krishnadeva Rai. So for that reason, people do not even know, sadly. This was an attempt, and I think yeah, I must include few of the things regarding economy. So what happened initially during last days of Ganga rule, Odisha had become pure. Obviously, some kingdom is invaded regularly, had to pay tribute, so it will become poor. Initially, Kapilendra's rule also it was poor, but slowly it grew. So if you see some of the references about Cuttack, the capital, by 1510, Cuttack was the third largest city in India. Imagine, Cuttack was the third largest city in India with 1.4 lakh population at that time. Imagine, at that time, Cuttack had a population of 1.4 lakhs, and the third largest after Vijayanagara and the capital of Bengal, Gouda. The Cuttack was the third largest. And in the entire world, it was 12th largest, I think, because I have checked this in a historical city database. So it was the case. And in the different sources, for example, in an inscription, Cuttack is mentioned as Amaravati. Amaravati was the capital of Indra, god Indra. Amaravati, another inscription it mentions, not inscription, another, I think, Vijayanagar source, it says Cuttack was like Dwarka, the legendary Dwarka, that Lord Krishna's Dwarka, it mentions like that. Also, some Vijayanagar source like mentions the wealth of the cities can't be found anywhere. So you can imagine what Cuttack was at that time. Because if you make a large empire, obviously the capital will be certainly grow exponentially accordingly. Unfortunately, the Gajapati Empire did not sustain long enough. Otherwise, probably it would have crossed after 1510 because of invasion from north and south, it declined. Anyway, so you can imagine, and I should not say that the people were rich and all those things, but economic condition improved and people became self-sufficient. Even though we read about the typical cyclones and all those things that we have today, also at that time we also read there were cyclones, and they were at time of Pratap Rudra, there are famines. So those things happen, but overall the situation improved, people's condition improved. So you can imagine. And yeah, so I think, in my opinion, Kapilendra was a national hero. I mean, from Odisha side, obviously, and from the Hindu point of view, who should be certainly he should be at par with other Indian Hindu greats. But unfortunately, neither in people in Odisha nor in outside Odisha, most people do not know. And the sad part was, like, somehow our own people have not written on him, because two of the prominent books that I followed, that is written, one written by a Bengali author named Prabhat Mukherjee, and another was like Subramaniam, who was a Telugu author. So imagine the great kings of Odisha, about them someone is writing about it is being written by the non-Odias. Ideally, I'm not complaining that they're writing, but they have done a great service actually. But imagine Odias have not written in detail about this about Kapilendra. Just imagine that. So that was this very sad part, and just I just tried to bridge that gap in my own capacity, and I hope means this is my wish actually, that some statue kind of thing will be made for Kapilendra, maybe probably in Cuttack, or maybe some holiday kind of thing, or some university like here in Karnataka we have Krishna Devaraya University, and on Vijayanagar we have many things name of Vijayanagara. And likewise, we should have some Gajapati thing or Kapilendra name of places on Kapilendra, or some statue kind of thing. I'm not saying to spend crores of rupees, but small. At least people should know. Then not knowing is a very bad thing, and I think no one actually has cared about these things in Odisha. I mean, we do not go beyond British period and check what we had earlier. So when someone named government named Jaspur's medical college name as Jajati Kesari, I was happy actually. Chalo, something happened. So I this is my wish that something in that regard will happen. Kapilendra will get his deserved respect, and people of rest of India will also know, and people of Odisha should first of all know and talk about him first while talking about many Hindu kings. And yeah, I think that's it from my side. Somewhere over to you.
Thank you so much. Hell of a talk. I mean, everybody present in the meeting room should be feeling as proud and pumped up as I'm feeling. Before going to the question answer session, just want to add couple of points which I have found in this book and feel like sharing with everyone. One is about the Golavai, which famously when we used to have rant with our southern friends, they used to take example of Golavai and try to demean a bit about Kapilendra Deva and Hambira Deva. Very smartly, you have mentioned about all the donation that has been done in the south, and just to add a couple of more points, this donating to the enemy provinces or temple in the enemy provinces has been a tradition from the Odia kings. We found from the days of Anangabhimadeva in Sringeri Matha, the inscription says about his donation. Ananga Perumal temple in Kanchi also have a Jagannatha Pattachitra in it, and talk about the donation it had received. Also, the Munnar inscription, I mean, I believe that is the most southernmost inscription of Amira Deva that we have. That also talks about the donation. So, anybody listening and have any doubts about the Golavai can, read a bit from this book and have its have a basic idea. Also about religion, about literature, everything they can find from this book. Don't want to take much of everyone's time on this. The points you have mentioned on why he has succeeded about the Purushottama Samrajya, and then the even I found it fascinating. Somebody finally included iron ore and sea route because mostly for us Sadhavas are like in the before Christ era or at when Saladhova era, as people say Saladhova and Bomakara era. But here have tangible evidence of the Sadhava legacy still continuing till Kapilendra Deva's era, which is some of my takeaway from the book. So thank you so much for this book, and hope to read more from your side. And now we will open to question answer. Anybody having any question, kindly. I personally have a plethora of question, but anybody from the audience have any question, kindly raise your hand. I will ask you to unmute, and we can go on for the question and answer. Okay, we have Mr. Pratik Priyadarshan Das. Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah. if possible, do yeah, please unmute yourself, and if possible, do share the video also. Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Pratik Priyadarshan Das? ठीक है, unmute करिए.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah,
Hello.
you're audible. Yes, you're audible. You're again mute. Try to unmute again. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, actually, there's a network issue right here, so just sorry for that. Hello.
Please go on with the question.
Yeah, actually, I have a question for sir. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Go on.
Okay, so actually, I have one question. Just like sir has quoted about like a Gajapati Kapilendra Dev and their major conquests, I really enjoyed about the informations. But like one thing which excited me the most is that the Kapilendra Dev's invasion to Nepal. So I just want to know more about it, which Pratap Rudra Dev have mentioned in his inclusion. Can you just give some brief in like the description about it, if possible?
Yeah. You're mute. So kindly unmute.
Yes. Yeah, Pratik, thank you for the question. Yeah. So, see, in my book, I have actually mentioned that it is probably an exaggeration because probably, okay, because in history, you never know. And another thing I also forgot to say about Sri Lanka, and that also I'll add you in this question itself. Sri Lanka and Gujarat also. Let me explain these two things scenarios. So first thing is Pratap Rudradev in his inscription doesn't mention that. He has mentioned that in his book Saraswati Vilasam. If you are aware, in Saraswati Vilasam, it is mentioned that Kapilendra invaded Nepal. Okay, so Nepal is not that far actually. If you consider north of Jharkhand, border of north of Jharkhand to border of Nepal is not that much. I think 200 to 300 kilometers distance it will be, because Bihar is not a very big province in size area wise. But we do not have any other information. Okay, so this is the only source which says Kapilendra invaded Nepal. So therefore, we do not have, because we do not have any other information. So some scholars, most scholars actually, have said that this is an exaggeration. But but you never know if you'll find some, because northern Odisha and Bengal do not have many temples. So because there are not many temples left, and earlier kings used to inscribe in temples only, you will find many information of Kapilendra in South, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, and also in few in Telangana, but not much in other than two inscription in Medinapur. You will not find much in northern Odisha, because there are no temples, because inscription were happening in the temples. So because of that, I assume the northern invasion records were mentioned in the northern inscriptions. Are you getting? Because south invasion was mentioned in the southern temple inscription, and north invasion were mentioned in the northern temple inscription. But after 1568 Kalapahara invasion and later many invasion, the temples were destroyed or desecrated. So because of that, we lost many inscriptions. So we do not have any, we can't say directly, right? Because we can say about, for example, let's say if you want to talk about Chola kings, Rajendra Chola, as Tamil Nadu has a lot of inscription, you'll find a lot of information, right? Southeast Asia, North, everything you'll find. But in Odisha, other than after Mahanadi, you cross to north, you'll find very less number of temples, old temples, I'm saying. Okay, so because of that reason, we do not have many inscriptions. So we do not know what exactly happened in the north, because I assume that northern invasion, northern conquest were mentioned in the northern inscription itself. So anyway, this is just a guesswork I'm doing. But coming to Nepal, so it is not mentioned in inscription. It is mentioned in Pratap Rudradeva's book Saraswati Vilasam, where it says Kapilendra invaded Nepal. That's it. And I forgot to add this about Sri Lanka. I have mentioned that in the book also. About Sri Lanka, there is one inscription in Sri Sailam where Kapilendra says Sri Lanka, Kapilendra ruled over Sri Lanka. Okay, Simhala, as it was known at that time. It is mentioned. But in my opinion, probably what happened, I was thinking this is also an exaggeration, because kings do exaggerate. Many kings like Gajapati kings also, and Vijayanagar kings also, many kings do exaggerate sometimes. So I was also thinking, but another thing I found is his contemporary Devara II, Kapilendra's contemporary, he has actually mentioned that he was ruling Sri Lanka. Okay, so Kapilendra defeated him and his son Mallikarjuna. So, and also marched till Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram is just across the border, I mean across the sea to Sri Lanka. So I assume there might have been some after he conquered, probably when he reached at the border of Tamil Nadu, probably at that time Sri Lankan king, who had a very strong bitter rivalry with Vijayanagara, there might be some he might have what do you call, not exactly vassal or something, but he might have given him some tribute or something like that, just a nominal kind of thing, not exactly that Kapilendra's army invaded, because we do not know, we do not have any information other than that single inscription. So he says because of that they probably some nominal suzerainty he accepted, something like that might have happened, because of which he's mentioning that he was ruling Sinhala. So that is probably that is the case. And coming to he also mentions that he defeated the king of Gurjara. Gurjara means Gujarat. So that is but difficult to accept, because as I said, Gujarat is beyond Malwa. So that is difficult to accept. So I have termed it as an exaggeration, but I'll be more than happy to, if someone finds something and proves that it was actually true that he invaded Gujarat. So yeah, I hope this answers your question.
Just with your permission, want to add one more point on Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is still believable because if you go through the inscription of Sri Lanka, traditionally they used to have a very good relationship with Kalinga and Pala from the days of Nisangamalla and all. So
yes.
even Kalinga Magha had his power over there, I believe, during the time of Panavali. So I believe they used to be, I mean, somebody from Sri Lanka will definitely want to be in the good book of the Gajapati. So, yes. Mr. Pratik Priyadarshan Das, you have any cross question to that? Shall we move on?
Yes, Kalinga Maga, correct. Kalinga Maga also. I have mentioned that in my book.
Yeah, yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I just really loved it. Like about the informations of Nepal and Sri Lanka, which really helped me out. And I have one more question. I have several questions in Kapilendra Dev, but I will be pointing out this main questions which I have doubt personally. So there's a historian named Pandit Nilakantha Das, if I'm not wrong. He mentioned in one of his book that Gajapati Kapilendra Dev actually belongs to a Yaduvamshi clan, but later on he accepted himself as Suryavanshi clan. So how far this is true, I just want to know. Do you have any idea on that?
No, I don't think it is correct. There is no mention of Yaduvamshi or anything.
I can send the snippet personally on Instagram. There's
I know. See. What I have tried to write in my book is based on primary sources. I don't think there is any primary source which says he was Yaduvamshi. Nowhere. I maybe I might not have seen, but whatever I have read, there's no mention of Yaduvamshi or anything anywhere. Only Suryavanshi is mentioned. Suryavanshi and Kashyapa Gotra these two things are mentioned.
Okay, sir. Sir, one more final question. Like after Pratapruddra Dev, what happened to his son Birabhadra Dev? Can you just describe about him?
See, this is beyond the purview of this, but I think he was obviously killed. I mean, he was obviously killed. Killed, or I mean, some say suicide, but you never know. Means whatever sources. I think the only Portuguese sources only say that he committed suicide. So likely that is true. We have to, because we do not know. We do not have any other this thing. So yeah.
Even one more book, right? Vaishnava or Sabruta or something that also talk about this. I believe. I mean,
I'm
I'm
not.
not sure. Yeah,
I'll write that in my next book.
perfect. Perfect. Anyone else want to ask any question? Or I mean, meanwhile, my one of my queries about Narendra Mahapatra, or I mean, famously on whom people say the Narendra Puskarini is. I mean, Kapilendra Dev has mentioned here. Yeah. So any snippets or any point trivia you want to add? Because I didn't found much on him. I mean, that's the only one I didn't found much from the book. That's why I only asked.
Yeah. So I have tried that. These are actually traditional accounts, right? Like traditional accounts only. I mean, some say Narendra Puskarini he was actually his brother. Actually, what I have read is he was his Kapilendra's one of his brother, and due to he died due to some war or something. And after that, Kapilendra built that in his memory, something like that. And some sources say actually he built that. Narendra he built that tank, I mean pond. So there's no direct information, because inscriptionally it is not available anywhere. But this is a traditional account, most likely also true also. But to verify that historically, we have to have some at least literary or inscriptional evidences to corroborate that. But I don't see anywhere. So that's why I'm not written that in detail. But I just mentioned that it is some traditional accounts say that it was built by.
Thank you. I have also one more. I mean, it's a very subjective questions. I mean, you have yes mentioned very. I mean, because this book demands that about the rise of the Suryavanshi Gajapati, and very shortly, if you want to convey about the fall, was what I mean, was that very natural, or could that have been not? I mean, by taking some measure, it would have been avoided. Or I mean, your perspective, your thought on the fall, because it was very rapid, right? I mean, from the day of Prataprudra Deva, from his initial days. The kind of stature he was having, the success he was having against, especially in the northern front, suddenly within 10, 20 years, it was all gone. That's why I know the talk is about Kapilendra Deva, but I feel somehow we will miss not talking about what wrong happened.
Yeah. So actually, I've studied that also. So in my opinion, there many people blame Chaitanya for that, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't think he deserved that blame, mostly misplaced, because sometimes people try to find a fault in someone, to just blame someone, and they just say that this is the reason, because we think people, our mindset is very simplistic, like simple yes, no, or this one, that one, just blaming that will be over. I mean, our job is over, something like that. Our mindset is. But if you see that during that period 1510, there are lot many things happened just before that and during that. First thing is, first you have to see the northern borders. So northern borders, what happened is, Hussein Shah, the Bengal Sultan, who he became very powerful. The most powerful ruler of Bengal was Hussein Shah in the history. Among Muslim rulers, Hussein Shah is considered the most powerful. Okay, you have to understand that he defeated the Assam kingdoms, and also another thing also happened is the Jaunpur kingdom, which was bordering Bengal, which they had rivalry between them. That kingdom was actually captured by Delhi Sultanate at that time. Before 1494, it was captured, completely captured. And the Hussain Shah and I think Sikandar Lodi was the Sultan of Delhi. They had a pact that they will not attack each other. Okay, so they had a pact during that time. Just understand the implication of that. By 1494, so because of that, Hussain Shah was free, and by 1500 he had invaded and captured the Kamata kingdom, that Assam. So he had literally no enemy, no powerful enemy in the western border and in the eastern border, northeastern border. So he was completely free. Okay, just keep this in mind. And in the south, what happened? Krishna Deva Raya, he became the king. And at that time, the Bahamani kingdom, Bahamani Sultanate, was divided into 5 different parts, and they were fighting with each other. Okay, you have to understand that, because Bahamani was a very powerful kingdom, and it was divided into 5 parts, and they were fighting with each other. There's no centralized force and all those things. So he was also relatively free. Okay, and added to that, the Portuguese also had joined them at that time, and Portuguese had a pact with Krishna Deva Raya, and Portuguese were controlling the Arabian Sea completely, and via that they were bringing the horses. Okay, those horses were Central Asian horses. Portuguese were completely in control, and they were not giving that to the Muslim sultanates, because they were themselves fighting with the Muslim sultanate of Bijapur in the Goa islands of Goa. Okay, so the situation is that, so Portuguese helped Krishna Deva Raya, and in the north, the Bahmanis were completely divided, and Krishna Deva Raya was completely free. And in the north, Bengal Sultan, most powerful king of Bengal, and here in the south, most powerful king of Vijayanagara. So you just need to understand this dynamics here. So, and he was free, and he was free. In the south, Krishna Deva Raya was relatively free. So if you read Krishna Deva Raya's that period, there the minister, he told him to invade Gajapati Empire instead of Bahamanis, because just few years back, the Hussain Shah had invaded deep into Odisha, while Kapilendra was invading into Vijayanagar in the down south. And if you see the structure of the kingdom of Odisha kingdom, it was a relatively narrow stretch of land, north to south, and the southern border was actually close to Hampi, thousands of kilometers far from Cuttack and close to Hampi. So obviously, it means if he cannot concentrate, if he will not be able to concentrate, obviously you will lose that. And that is what happened, because Hussain Shah invaded and captured him. Cuttack also, means Cuttack was captured for some time, but Pratap Rudra came back and pushed him back out of Odisha, and even he would have captured him without some treachery. Anyway, so that was the dynamics. So Pratap Rudra could not concentrate in south. If you read the Vijayanagar sources, you will read that the fort of Udayagiri was besieged for 15 to 18 months. Can you imagine? Why should someone besiege that for 15 to 18 months? It is impossible, because if someone besieges that, obviously the king will send a large force to defeat it, right? But he sent forces, but smaller forces, because North Cuttack was closer to border of Bengal. So obviously he will not be able to, release forces to fight with South. So this is what happened, and slowly he lost. That was the biggest reason, because obviously 2 most powerful kingdoms, north and south, and in the middle, equally powerful. Pratap Rudra was not weak ruler. No one should think that way. He was not a weak ruler. He would have fought in one direction. Obviously, he would have at least maintained status quo, right? But unfortunately, that is what politics, wars are. I mean, you can't means there is nothing to blame anyone, nothing to do this thing, but this is what it is.
So anyone else want to ask any question? Kindly raise your hand. Meanwhile, I'll ask my last question. That is, see, if you see, Kapilendra Deva has also a very, how to say it, very big impact, positive impact outside Odisha. Without him, the fate of his southern area of his kingdom would have been very different and very torturous, I would say. Why so that he has been forgotten, even in that area, those areas?
You see, I always think consider history is something, means your present will determine your history. And this is, I mean, I'm saying in this in all responsibility, because see, Odisha currently is a poor state, relatively poor state, and whenever a region or a state is deprived of material prosperity, its intellectual and other academic activities will go downward spiral. Okay, so that is what has happened. As I said, means on Gajapati kingdom, whatever is written by outsiders. So this is a very shameful actually, but anyway, that is what has happened. So because of that reason, Odisha was a poor state, and this modern historicity, whatever we write and we read today, it started after 1800 when Britishers came, and at that time Odisha was completely devastated, and constant famines, constant weakness of people, and poverty, and all those things. We were conservative compared to our northern neighbors. We are very, very conservative. We did not adopt British education or all those things. So because of that, we never concentrated things like history, where, as I said, political history is a very important thing, but we never thought of it as important. So we were a late starter, I can say. So in that scenario, what happened is, whosoever could write, they wrote accordingly as per their this thing, because means no one is going to write about you if you do not know about yourself, right? You can't expect others to write, right? So so that's why I say something called availability bias. So if you go to some library, you'll find books about Cholas, you'll find books about Guptas, you'll find books about Palas, but you'll not find out books about this Gajapati or Ganga kingdoms, right? So what happens is that has a cascading effect. Means if I do not know, I can say this to 5 people and they will not say to others. So this is a cascading effect. If I know about Cholas, I'll talk about Cholas, because as I said, availability bias. I have these sources available, so I'll talk about them and think that this was the only thing that was there, right? So that is what happened. So because of that, people don't even know. I mean, obviously, but I think the the new age ODS will probably change things, and we are in the right direction. Let's see. Hope for the best.
Thank you so much. And at the end, I will again say
SP Adhikari, sir, he was probably raising his hand.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you
Please
your findings
go ahead,
in journals?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You publish your articles, I mean, findings in history journals in India or abroad?
No. Actually, I have written a book that we were discussing, but journals separately, I have not tried to do that.
Unless you publish in historical journals of repute, how your theories will be accepted?
Yeah, I got your point. I got your point. I am just you can say 4 to 5 years only I started these things. I have written some articles also in some newspapers and all those things, and I tried to write a book, and obviously I was trying to join the Indian History Congress also, but hope for the best. I'll try to do all those things with your blessing. Obviously I'll try to do that and do
Look,
my...
I'm not a historian. I'm not a historian. I'm a science person. I'm a biotechnician.
Yes. I am also a science person, sir, but I am just...
I have an interest in history. That's why I'm asking. Because for history of Odisha, we get from Krishnan Chandra Panigrahi. Also, okay, they just told about, they wrote about, Gajapati Kapilendra Dev, but nothing after that, and about a Brahmani invasion, Jaunpur, nothing is written about. Okay, and should be a primary source and not secondary sources. If something is written in some books, that cannot be taken as evidence. Okay, because books are written in those times, medieval times, as per people think that way. But that's not the evidences. Without evidence, you cannot claim. What I feel.
Yes, sir. So the primary evidence, primary evidence is basically contemporary things that has been written, and we do not directly actually accept things. We just corroborate that with, let's say, for example, some military invasion, something is mentioning, someone is mentioning.
Look,
So
books are written like that. Look at, for example, Raibunia. Nothing is mentioned. That was the largest fort of Odisha.
yes.
Okay, and from beyond Cuttack, there is no stone temples. These are all mud or terracotta. In that, how can there be inscriptions? And if you go to Patadakal, there is a place in Brahman kingdom. Okay, in Patadakal, there is a temple. It's a World Heritage Monument. You have a Odissean style temple and a South Indian type of temple. Only one place. Both the things together. It is 600 AD. Okay, but nothing is about that. Nowhere you will find that. Only those temples are there, and you find a World Heritage Monument site. So we need some historical evidence, and it should be published. Then we can claim that Gajapati has so much a kingdom and largest Hindu kingdom, everything can be done. Otherwise, it's difficult.
No, sir. See, you have to understand one thing. So whatever Indian history is different completely from the Western this thing, because our history is based on mostly on inscriptions, because we do not have a direct literary tradition like the Muslims or the Christian European.
Another thing I will tell you. You told about the statue of Kapilendra Dev. Even we don't have the actual figure of Upendra Bhanja. Whatever you find the statues, these are all imaginary.
Yes.
Even you go to Gohira Tikiri, Ramakrishna Deva, there is a statue. It is also imaginary.
Yes.
So if you don't have a picture of Kapilendra Deva or Krishna Deva or Pratabhadra
Sir,
Deva,
just to, sorry to interrupt, but we have a statue of Kapilendra Deva in Kapileshwara Matha in Ekamra. That can, yes.
There is no, painting or pencil art anywhere, nowhere. That's the problem.
Sir,
Even Upendra Bhanja, there is nothing. We have a statue in front of Utkal University, the statue in Bhanja Vihar, but actually that is not his picture. This is the problem we have in Odisha. Okay. So I suggest, I will just suggest one thing, whether I'm not a historian, please publish in some journals. Okay. So once it is published and accepted, it will be wonderful. It will be wonderfully chronicle for Odisha. But it should be published so that it will be accepted. I was a vice. Okay. So when I saw Kapilendra Deva, you are going to speak, that's why I'm online. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So nice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Soumya.
Also, we have...
Soumya, before we move on to the next person who has raised his hand, I would like to add one thing for the gentleman who just spoke his mind. I mean, actually, we have one more session lined up regarding Raibunia Port very soon, sir. So kindly...
When?
It would have been coming, I mean, not in November, probably in December, because in November, the dates are already kind of booked. So in December...
Can I get the information, sir?
Sure. So if you leave your number in the chat box, probably we'll keep on sending the information.
Computer, that's a problem. That's why I'm on the mobile.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So there is one more raised hand. Kindly take that.
Yes.
This is the last question we can take.
Yes. Svetak, I'm asking you to unmute. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, Svetak, you're audible.
Sure. So, first of all, Nihar bhai, very big thank you. कि effort ପାଇଁ ମାନେ ବହି ଲେଖିବାଟା ବହୁତ କଷ୍ଟ କାମ. I know it's a very difficult thing to write a book. ଆଉ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ହେଇଛି, that is the first step. Second step, ମୁଁ କିଛି କହିବାକୁ ଯାଉନଥିଲି, but ମୁଁ ଅଧିକାରୀ ସାର୍ଙ୍କ କଥାରୁ ହିଁ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ମନେ ପଡ଼ିଲା. ମୁଁ few days ago I shared one article with Soumya bhai. It was someone's book regarding the relationship of Kalinga and its maritime relationship with Bali, Indonesia, those places. And since right now I'm in one kind of university where I have access to different sources of those publications. So few foreign, few Western people, they have completely abolished, like they have written reviews on the book, and in every step they are kind of criticized. I won't say criticized, like they said that we don't have that much of evidence to back whatever point we are making. Okay, so I would suggest कि बही तो ହେଇଗଲା, बही ପରେ माने धीरे धीरे सेई आगु माने सेई आडू को जिबागु पड़िबो, माने छोटो छोटो पब्लिकेशंस करियागु पड़िबो, खाली पब्लिकेशन नहीं, like that lady, she wrote a book, then someone wrote the review, and she didn't came back and back her points. So जो हमर जोटा कुआवे ना खंडन मंडन, तो थरेटे गोटे हाइपोथेसिस दिया गला, तापर तार टिके खंडन मंडन भी चलिया कथा, तेणु हमको पुणी बैक भी करिया पड़िबो निज थियोरी को पुणी बारंबार, खाली माने पेपर लेखिकी छाड़ देले भी हबनी। आ काहे कि ना हम एथिबे कहूची कि बिल्कुल किछि स्टार्ट हे नतले, एबे ही नुआ नुआ स्टार्ट हैला, आ एटा बहुत डिफिकल्ट जिंस, माने लॉन्ग वे टू गो, वी हैव टू। सो बस सही कंसर्न थिला। सेकंड इज आपण जेतेले माने टिके मोर एटा सजेशन कि जेतेले नेक्स्ट आपण दउचंती किछि भी टॉक, टिके ट्राई करंतु कि स्लाइड्स ता धरे ऐड करियाकू। कौन हुए कि माने विजुअल जिनसटा टिके लोकन को टिके माने अट्रैक्ट तो नु, माने सेटा इम्प्रिंट हे जाए। एबे सुनिलु भूली जिवु, मु एना जो जगह रे अछि मो पाखु बही भी पहुंच परिबेनी अनलेस समवन पार्सल्स इट। तो माने कथाटा लागि सेही जिनस टिके इंटरैक्टिव हे परियो, से वे रे लोक टिके माने मने रखि परिबे। माने ओटे सपोज चैट भले आपण दे देले कि ए टाइम रे इंडिया रे माने रूल करथिले, से टाइम रे ओडिसा रे ए जिंस चलथिला, तो से जो पॉलिटिकल रेफरेंस रे टिके इजीली समस्त पाई जिवे। सो बस दैट्स
बुझे ना तुम चाहू जदि बुक तुम मिली परिबो, तुम से पब्लिशर जे ता से नंबर अछि, ता जदि चाहबो से ही कैन सेंड यू, इफ यू वांट you can go to his website, there's a WhatsApp number, you can ping him and he will send you.
नहीं मु माने एक्चुअली मु बाहर मु बर्मिंघम रे अछि, तो मु जानि नि से पठेबे कि नहीं, बट ठीक अछि।
पहुंच पर हम क्या कहू छी बाहर बर्नल तो भाई he
Aye.
can send, you can go to Subbu publication, you can
Okay.
go to his website, there's a WhatsApp number, ping him and ask him to send, there's okay,
sure I will try to get that.
yeah.
Thank
By
you
the
so
way,
much.
just to add, Svetak जो article कथा कहूतला, it is by Srila Tripathi, one of the best brain
Best
we
authors
have
of
on
Odisha.
best Srila Tripathi, Venudhar Patra, एमाने सबू pioneer of ओडिया and ओडिया southeast दीपमान सहित कल्चर ऊपर जेतिके लेखा लगी जदी से जो माने पॉइंट आउट करछन्दी से ये रे से एक्चुअली एमिति नुहे जे ताकू I mean the logic they have given the Western intellectuals, that is also rubbish, I can say. I mean, saying that
No,
in,
the
I mean,
logic is totally rubbish, no doubt in
yes,
that.
yes.
But मु कहूची कि सेई जिंसटा होउची, तो हमको
correct,
माने
correct.
आपण यंग अछंती आउ माने एक्टिव अछंती ऑनलाइन, तो ई जिंसटा आपण एबे करि परिबे ना, आपणको पाखरे आउरी 10 30
There's
वर्ष
lot of
पढिची।
things to do. I have a big dream, you know, I mean, not about history, because I actually history is not my primary interest. Actually, I love reading about socio-economics, like development of state and everything. I have a big dream. I have to write a lot of things. I mean, I can write more on that actually. Means that very creative way I can write. I'll try to write also. But this one also history. Next I'll write. I am thinking of writing about Ganga kingdoms and all those things. But we'll see. Means I want others also to write. One of my friends also, he's writing a book also, means just published. So hopefully, I said na, this generation of Odias can do what previous generation probably couldn't.
Yeah, I totally believe in that. Yeah.
Yes, I think they will be able to do. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Svetak. Sunil sir, गोटे क्वेश्चन আছে नहीं जीवा?
Yes.
Priyanka ma'am, I'm requesting you to unmute. Kindly unmute. Yes, please go on.
हेलो सर, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपण बहिटी लिखिले। श्वेतिक सर को कथारु मु कहूची, मु कुरुक्षेत्र यूनिवर्सिटी रे आर्किटेक्चर डिग्री रे पास आउट हेची। जेते बेले मु सेति मात्र माने से कॉलेज रे मु गोटे मात्र ओडिया पिला थिली पूरा 5 इयर रे। और सेमानकर ओडिसा विषय किछि नॉलेज नथिला, बट जो माने आर्किटेक्चरल कंजर्वेटिव रे प्रोफेसर मास्टर डिग्री करचंदी सेमानको ओडिसा विषय रे बहुत इंटरेस्ट, बट सेमानको किछि सेमती बुक मिलु नथिला आर्किटेक्चर उपरे। सेमाने फर्स्ट टाइम गोटे बुक पब्लिश हेइतला ओडिसा द आर्किटेक्चरल ओडेसी। सेथिरे जो इन्फोग्राफिक थिला ना, सेति पई सेठी बहुत लोक ओडिसा विषय रे जानि थिले। माने मो कॉलेज रे लोक जानिले हां ओडिसा रे किछि गोटे अछि बोली। तो सात्विक सर जो कहले इन्फोग्राफिक, प्लीज डू इंसर्ट इट ड्यूरिंग प्रेजेंटेशन। आ मु आपण गोटे रिक्वेस्ट करबे, आपण जहां भी जर्नल पब्लिश करछी प्लीज काइंडली शेयर करंतु। आगो को किछि भी आपण जूम रे मीटिंग करछंती जहां करछंती प्लीज शेयर करंतु। मु निश्चय अटेंड करिवे। आ खाली अटेंड करिवेनी, मु एडा लोक मानको भी शेयर करबी, लोक मानको भी कहिबी एज एन आर्किटेक्ट मोर भी इंटरेस्ट अछि। आ बहुत किछि ओडिसा रे एमती जिंस अछि जोटा काहारी को जणा नाही, इवन आमु को जणा नाही, तो आमे आगो को कोन कहिबु। तो आमको ये नॉलेज टा बहुत जरूरी। एंड थैंक्स अ लॉट कि माने ए जिंस मते जानिया को मिलिला।
थैंक यू
धन्यवाद प्रियंका। एट द एंड मु खाली एति कहबी, वी ऑल हैव आवर स्टोरीज, स्पेशली जो माने सब ओडिसा बाहर को ट्रैवल करछंती विथ व्हाटएवर लिमिटेड नॉलेज अबाउट ओडिसा, स्टिल बाहर जाई कि जो सडन क्वेश्चन गुडा मिले ओडिसा विषय रे, समस्ते हॉट हिचंती, समस्त को बाधिची ए जनरेशन रो स्पेशलिटी सेटा। तेणु दे आर सो मच रेज्ड एंड दे आर सो मच पम्प्ड अप to write or
it's good
to propagate.
that
Yes,
will
it's good
trigger us.
that it has triggered, and hopefully joy yatra jari rahibo. Sunil sir, requesting you to go for the Thanksgiving. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Soumya. Actually, I do not know how to express my happiness today, seeing all the participation, the excellent talk given by Nihar Babu, and then all the participation. I'm so happy. Actually, I feel the very aim of creating this space has kind of become very successful today. I'm so happy. And speaking about today's presentation, I just want to add few points that I could collect. As you rightly said, as I got to know, Kapilendra Dev was fighting battle on multiple fronts, multiple borders. So that speaks volumes about his military acumen. And you rightly focused on his political and military aspect, as you shared. So it is really surprising how he could manage actually that, fighting so many fronts and diametrically in opposite direction.
Yes.
The next thing that I would like to say is that regarding the destruction of the temples. In India, one of our previous speaker was rightly saying that our temple walls are our history books. So when you destroy most of the temples, naturally there will be gaps in deciphering history as when you try to reconstruct things that happened in the bygone era. So we are already suffering from that gap in knowledge. And you also rightly said, especially Odisha, there's a big gap in narrating our past, history, heritage, culture. So the absence of that is felt by today's generation. Again, I'm so happy to say that I thought our present generation has little interest in knowing about history, but today that strong belief is strongly diluted. So I'm so happy. Just give me one moment. My friend Sanjay is trying to join. For some reason, he got disconnected. And Soumya Babu, Sanjay.
Yeah. I mean, somebody named Jayasmita want to join, but I'm not sure if
Okay.
Sanjay sir want to join.
Sanjay join karo. Okay, go to minute. Okay, he's not able to join actually. And Sanjay is one of our, like Soumya, Aditya, me and Sanjay, we are actually doing this, managing this platform. So he's not able to join. Anyway, so this very platform is trying to bridge that gap, the gap in describing the narration of our past history. So when people like you come and join hand, so probably we can create some dent on the big ignorance, the national colossal ignorance about Odisha's or Kalinga's history. So that is what I'm trying to do. Thank you, Nihar Babu, for the excellent presentation. And as rightly suggested by one speaker, several speakers, so try to publish these findings on places where it would be peer reviewed and kind of become primary document. So thank you all participants for joining. And if you leave your cell number and everything, I will be keeping you posted about our future webinars. And before closing this meeting, yes, is there anything you would like to say, Nihar Babu?
No, I mean, I'm very thankful to Soumya and you, sir. And it was a great opportunity to present my book. And I think, as you said, like present generation, I can see actually there are many great, very interesting people who are doing some research. We do not know, but they're doing some good work. And hopefully, I'm very optimistic actually about Odisha. And in every front, means this cultural, historical front, and also economic front, everything. And so hopefully we'll see very good things. And I request everyone to read. I mean, only thing I am very sad about things like, because I am a voracious reader. I read a lot, and I think that is the only way we can know things. And because we do not know about ourselves, that is my main complaint. And many people I know that they do not know about anything about Odisha, anything about our culture, heritage, and all those things. So I'll request, read about non-fiction books like history, geography of Odisha, and culture, all those things. And then only you'll be able to present a better side of you in front of others. So that was my request to everyone.
Thank you actually very much. Soumya, shall we?
Thank you so much. Also, sir, also one last thing. Again and again, I'm repeating everyone, please go to Amazon, just type Gajapati Kapilendra Dev. This book will come. Must read or gift or share with anyone. It is, again, Odia, it is our primary duty, I'll say, to propagate our rich culture, our rich history. If it is not done today, tomorrow our next generation will find the same questions about Odisha which we found out while traveling abroad. So thank you so much for this book, and hope with everyone's support, this book will become a landmark of success about Odia history, and then we can take it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jai Jagannath. Thank you.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.